Hey everybody, Chris Barr here. I'm the Director of Marketing for Taradel. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a hot topic. You've probably heard the term multi-channel marketing, integrated marketing, or even omni-channel marketing. So these are maybe the three kind of big words that are used to describe this push towards a kind of a new standard of marketing, right? So back in the day, you could get away with using one platform or one channel to reach, your target audience and make a big impression on them, and everything would kind of be good to go. So, for example, a few decades ago, if you had an advertisement in a major national magazine, for example, that would be seen by everybody, right? Or maybe an ad in the newspaper, the New York Times, or one of the bigger publications out there. If you got your ad in front of that type of captive audience, then you were all set. Your product or service would be out there, and that was, I guess, the short way to put it is that was enough, right? So, fast forward to 2017, and when it comes to marketing, the challenge is always connecting with people, and the way people live their lives and get information, and even do their shopping. I mean, all of that has really changed, especially in the last 10 years, with smartphones and kind of mobile devices taking off, and it's kind of everywhere you go, there's a screen or a device, or you're connected. So it's important to realize that the old way of having a captive audience in front of a newspaper or a magazine, or even on TV or radio, it's changed a little bit, right? In some cases it's changed a lot, in some cases it's changed a little. But regardless, there's been change, right? There's a lot of different ways people get their information. So with changes, that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. With change comes new opportunity. So the big question we're going to talk about today is, what is multi-channel marketing? If you're a small business owner or if you're an advertiser, you've got to get your message and your offer in front of prospective customers. There's no question about it. So what that leads you to inevitably is what's the best way to do that, right? For every marketing dollar I put in, how do I get the most out, and how do I make that last the longest? So these are fundamental questions that, whether it's the 1960s or 2017, to be a good advertiser and to, generate new customers and revenue, you've got to be able to answer those questions. And more importantly, you've got to have data behind your decision making. So what I'm going to do is explain what multi-channel marketing is. So let's say you own a restaurant. And you've got to keep new people coming in the door. Maybe you've been around for a while and you've got your established customers that always come in and all that. You've got a good reputation, but to bring in new customers or to keep people talking about your restaurant, you've got to do a great job with your marketing, right? So a lot of restaurants, what they'll do is they'll use social media. That's a great way to stay in touch with current customers, get reviews and ratings out there, and really just kind of keep things going, right? You have email blast, right? You can email your existing customers. You can also do things like basic things like putting a big banner on your restaurant or a big sign or something like that. So those are all great ways to stay in touch and get the word out and do some general marketing. But if you really want to get serious about marketing these days, what you have to do is look at things at a campaign level, right? So what a restaurant might do is introduce a campaign that is promoting maybe let's say it's a new deal for pizza, right? So maybe on every Monday night when things are a little bit slower, the restaurant does a large one-topping pizza for $10. Okay, so you want everybody to know that's the offer. Well, it's one thing to, maybe put that on a sign, but then, talk about other stuff on social media and maybe do an email blast about some other special. But to really make an impact, you've got to reach the same prospect with the same message and the same offer across all of those channels. So when they're checking their email, they see that offer. When they drive by your store, they see that offer. When they're on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, they see your offer. And when they're listening to the radio, their local, channel, they're hearing that same offer. So it all comes down to multiple impressions. Okay, multiple impressions, multiple channels. That's how you get a message across, and those repeated exposures are what really moves the needle in terms of getting people to become aware, become interested, and then ultimately make a decision to purchase or not. So again, I can't stress enough, it's that multiple impression of the same message. It's one thing to have a bunch of different messages across a bunch of different mediums, but when you connect all that, that's where you really start to see gains and better return. The other thing that's really important is consistency, right? So if you look at a major, chain or a national brand, right? They've always got the same branding, the same colors, the same images, the same wording. All of that is that way for a reason. So, if you're, Uncle Tom's Pizza down the road versus Pizza Hut, in most cases, Pizza Hut's going to have a much more disciplined, much more strict adherence to kind of brand control and message, and they're targeting the right audience at the right time. So if you're Uncle Vito's or Uncle Tom's, down the road, there's no reason that you can't do that too, right? Now, in the past, it was a little bit harder to do that because you needed a big budget just to get in, just to get the impressions on a large base of prospects. But the playing field is leveled these days. With social media especially, that's opened up a lot of opportunities. If you're a smart marketer at the local level, there's a lot you can do to kind of combat national brands. And the trending these days is to kind of go local. So there's a lot you can do to be very successful, but you've got to have the discipline. You've got to look at your advertising at the campaign level, and you've got to make sure that when you launch a marketing campaign that you've kind of pre-agreed that, hey, this is what we're doing, this is the offer, this is the message, and this is the audience. A good way to remember it is the right audience with the right message at the right time. If you do those three things, you're going to be in really good shape. And it's important that you pick, channels that work together. So a great example of an integrated marketing campaign that's very simple for any business owner or advertiser to do would be a direct mail campaign with email marketing tied to it, with social media tied to it, and with local display advertising tied to it. So in other words, when people within a local parameter are browsing the web, looking at blogs or checking the news in the morning, that you want to make sure your digital display ads show up with that same message. So in other words, a digital display ad is essentially a banner ad, but if you do direct marketing with indirect marketing, then you kind of cover all your bases and have a really strong cumulative impact. So direct mail, email, social media, display advertising. Direct mail is going to get right to that targeted prospect with a physical offer that's virtually impossible to ignore. Sure, the recipient might keep it or trash it right away, but no matter what you're making an impression, they have to decide what to do with that. So you want to make that direct impression that they kind of can't get away from. Email is great because it'll pop up when they're on their smartphone or checking, their email later that night or that morning on their iPad or whatever. And then the display ads are great because they kind of follow you around, and you can, there's solutions out there that you can use that will target prospects by IP address, so you know where they physically are located. And you could do something like, I want to target everyone within a 5-mile radius of my business. And then you could just show ads to those, prospects. So what you want to do is marry all that together, right? So during the same 1, 2, or 3 week period, they're getting direct mail, they're getting emails, they're seeing the message on social media, and they're seeing your ads when they just browse their favorite content online. So if you kind of package all of that into a campaign for a set, duration, then you can really drive home that message and make a big impression. So that's really what multi-channel marketing is all about. There's one more component that's really important, especially if you're an e-commerce business. And maybe, if you're a brick and mortar business that also does online ordering, for example, then this is really important. And that the thing I want to talk about is convenience, right? So one of the big challenges in acquiring new business is making it really easy for a prospective customer to buy from you, right? So if you only do radio or if you only do email, then you're kind of limiting the convenience and the ways people can purchase from you. But if you send somebody a direct mail postcard with a phone number they can call, that's great. And then if you follow that up with an email where someone could maybe click to order something, or maybe they see a banner ad where they could click to order something off your website, then, boom, you've got people that are calling you, you've got people that are ordering from you online, and maybe you even have a mobile app where they could, purchase from you from there. So it's also important to enable customers to buy from you in whichever way is most appropriate for them, right? And the general rule that I personally like to follow and I recommend to clients is that the response method should follow the advertising channel. So, for example, if you send someone a direct mail postcard with an offer, it's easier for someone to pick up the phone and call you to order it, especially if it's like a restaurant or something, than it is for them to type in a URL or, fill out a form or something like that. It's just easier if it's offline to respond offline. And then on the flip side, if it's a digital communication, it's much easier for someone to get an email and just click on a link than it is for them to pick up a phone and dial your number. So you just want to make sure that you cover all of those bases too, right? Make it easy for your customers to purchase from you in whichever way best fits their needs at that moment in time. And remember, right offer, right time. And, if you put all of that kind of stuff together, then you're going to be very successful. So anyway, that's what multi-channel marketing is. I hope that makes sense. And again, multi-channel marketing is the new standard. Okay, it's not enough to have a one and done type marketing strategy. Sure, you may get some little wins here and there, but long term, if you want to be disciplined and grow your revenue and have data that shows you what campaigns work, what don't, what messaging works, what doesn't, and all of that great stuff that's going to make you a very successful business, you need to use multi-channel marketing as your baseline approach. So anyway, that's it for today. We'll be back with another video soon. And if you have any questions or comments, you can reach me directly through Taradel. Our direct line is 1-800-481-1656, or you can go to taradel.com and check us out on the web. And we actually have multi-channel marketing solutions that you can use. So if you want to build and launch a multi-channel marketing campaign today, you can do that. So again, that's Taradel, TARADEL.com. And we're always here to help. So have a great day, and thank you so much.